Hello, I thought I'd jump on here today and do a video in regards to OCD morphing, how it can suddenly latch to other themes. And for example, your old theme can suddenly seem like nothing, can feel like nothing. That's OCD, but this one's different. How that can suddenly happen in a matter of seconds and feel like yours is different, yours is real, and you're the exception. Okay, something that happened to me many, many times on my journey. So, your current fear, your current theme, so whatever is latched to, whatever this new thing is, this feels like it's slightly out of reach, slightly nestled into that bit where you can't quite get to, keeping you stuck in that cycle. So whatever it is, this can seem like the scariest, worst thing in the world. All right, so you've got to remember, OCD is going to latch to things that you see as the worst thing in the world, that you see that you can't possibly accept yourself if it were true. If that did happen, if I was stuck forever, root event, false memory, if that did happen, I can't possibly accept myself. Things like that is going to try and get on things that you haven't quite worked on, or that you haven't quite got that fear response down. Okay, and all of a sudden, your old fear might not seem as scary as anymore. You can see now how that was OCD, but this new one isn't. Okay, it's so crafty like that, very cheeky, very sneaky how it does that. I remember doing that to me many, many times. I can see that's OCD, but this is different. I haven't had this one before, so this must be real. I must be the exception. And I've also had that looking at other people's themes as an outsider. All right, and comparing suffering, comparing themes, got me absolutely nowhere. Was a zero return investment. Okay, saying, well, you're suffering with ROCD, I'm suffering with POCD, mine's much worse than yours. Now that got me nowhere. Okay, only when I started to learn and acknowledge how OCD operates did I become aware that each theme to a different sufferer can feel as scary, can be the same suffering. So there's no point comparing, gets you nowhere. So like I said, the current theme that is suddenly latched to, that is morphed to, can feel like the worst thing in the world. And that's because you might not know how to tackle it. You might not know how to deal with it. You might be so scared of something new latching, and then boom, it's latched, and you feel like, oh shit, I was feeling some relief from my old theme, and OCD has gone and found something else that just out of my reach and I can't get there. Okay, it happened to me many, many times. Now, the reason it feels so real, the reason it feels so different, and the reason you feel the exception, that is a disorder that OCD is. You can't just go, okay, it's an OCD thought and move on. We all wish we could, but it's not that wishy-washy, it's not that soft. It takes a lot more than that. It takes a lot more robustness than that, a lot more resilience, a lot more effort and more effort to tackle it. You can't just go as OCD thought and move on. Thoughts are thoughts. Initially can help and understand how OCD operates, but when it's moving around between themes and you're scared of everything, especially with me of the real event, false memory OCD, POCD, harm OCD, it needed a lot more than just thoughts of thoughts. It needed me to break down the beliefs, apply the unconditional acceptance, and really get under the fear. Took a lot of work, but not rocket science. Okay, if it was that simple, it wouldn't be the disorder that it is. It's as simple as that. All right, we could just say, don't worry about it, it's OCD, move on. So, when a new theme used to latch to me, I went down to I used to think in such black and white, such rigid thinking. I remember saying, all right, nothing else matters in the world. I was finding some relief, and then boom, OCD's got me on his shackles again. That's it, I'm done for, completely finished. Finito. That's what I used to say. Not like that, but that's how I certainly used to believe. I used to be, that's it, I can't be bothered anymore. I can only work on POCD, I can only work on harm OCD. Now it's sort of cheating OCD, now it's sort of hit and run OCD. I can't possibly live. All right, that kept me stuck for many, many years. And that is how real it feels. All right, so now when I look back at, it just sounds ridiculous on my black and white thinking, but that's how real it felt. It felt like I was stuck again, felt completely hopeless again, felt completely alone because it felt so real. I felt I was the exception, different to everyone else. Because you're so fixated on your own theme, you're so fixated on your own fear, your anxiety, you can't possibly see a way out. That's how scary it can feel. Okay, so if I talk more about me, and how it's changed, just give some examples along my journey of how OCD's morphed, how it's changed, how it's gotten there nice and snug, just out of my reach. I can't quite get there. And keeping me stuck in that OCD cycle, keeping me guessing, if you wish. Okay, so if I look back at the start of my journey, it was mainly predominantly real event false memory OCD, constantly stuck in the past, analysing the past, constant rumination about the past, trying to find a solution to an answer, also trying to find an answer to a solution, trying to find the key to peace. I kept searching and searching and searching. And I remember I'd try and get some relief. I feel like I'd find the answer, find some certainty, and then OCD would get in there with another angle, something else that keeps me out of the reach. This is what I mean. Keeps me guessing. Find some angle. How old were you? Did that happen? Where was this? Are you sure that happened? Or are you just saying that because it's OCD? Keeping me guessing. All right, many, many years I spent like that. And it would link into, say, POCD, harm OCD, any guilt-related theme I could say I've suffered with. I know there's going to be loads, but the main ones I'd say I have, so like incest OCD, bestiality OCD, cheating OCD, hit and run, things like that. So constantly analysing things, constantly checking. Okay, so not only, so when I started to get under the beliefs of, because they would link into like the fear of social rejection, the fear of being stuck forever, fear of being a terrible, awful person, fear of going to prison, things like that. Okay, so when I worked on those beliefs, when I started applying the unconditional acceptance quite firmly, quite vigorously, did that start to release and start to unlatch. But that was stuck for many, many years, going between different guilt-related themes. And this, at the time, I remember hearing about other people's sensory motor OCD, hearing about other people with ROCD, and thinking, look, I wish I could be stuck with that. Mine's the worst thing in the world. I want to be stuck with yours. Now, that was complete bollocks. All right, I remember thinking like that. It got me absolutely nowhere. I know it feels like the worst thing in the world. You know you feel like, I know you feel like the exception, but constantly comparing it and saying, I wish I had your theme, gets you nowhere. What is the point? You're not going to get any better or recover just by wishing you've had another theme. All right. The reality of it is that this is the fear that you're stuck with, and you can get under this fear if you put in the work, the hard work, the persistence, the patience, and you're dedicated towards getting under the fear. All right. It's not an overnight quick fix. It takes time, but you can do that if you put in the work. All right. A good place to start is reading the books on the reading list. The Myth of Self-Esteem and How to Accept Yourself. How to Refuse to Be Miserable About Anything by Albert Ellis. They are the two main things with guilt-related themes. Okay, so that's enough talking about that. If I talk about later on in my journey, when I started to apply those, the tools that I've learned and getting under those fears that I've said about social rejection, going to prison, being stuck forever, things like that, when I started getting under those, it'd go, okay, now how can I keep me stuck? How can I keep Sam stuck? So it'd latch on to, say, sensory motor OCD. Okay, so it feels like a completely new ball game. All right. Remember, it's still a fear response and you're still scared of something. But when you've been constantly nailing down fear of rejection, fear of going to prison, this suddenly feels completely different and completely real because you don't know how to initially cope with it. You don't know how to initially tackle it. Okay, that's why it can feel so scary in that sense. So, if I talk about my experience with sensory motor OCD, primarily blinking and focus on swallowing, things like that. All right. Now, not only when did I look at the fear of being stuck forever, that was a main driving factor with that, and that would all link into fear of fear and things like that. So it was trying to keep me guessing, trying to keep me on my toes, all right, especially moving around with fears. How can I keep Sam guessing? So I then had to look at the fear in other ways. So fear of fear, something I tackle very often. It's such a subtle factor that keeps so many people stuck. Kept me stuck for years and years and years. Fear of fear. I didn't even realise I was stuck with fear of fear. But I was thinking, okay, I can tackle that fear. I don't feel like I'm even scared of that. But then I just feel so anxious, but you're so scared of it coming back. That was the main driving factor. And this is why I can't stress enough of bringing it for the ride, getting out there, no matter how you feel, no matter how uncomfortable it is, no matter how difficult life feels, no matter how shit you feel, get out there, bring it for the ride, and not put life off. Okay, that's just a way of how I would tackle fear of fear. All right, so yeah, sensory motor OCD, trying to get me on that, trying to get me on new fears. For example, I went on holiday recently, and the fear of fear is trying to pipe up, trying to get me on a new theme so I wouldn't know how to cope, I wouldn't know how to tackle it, and all my holiday would be completely ruined and all come crumbling down. And that's how cheeky ways of getting in on there. All right, so this is why we need to be quite robust towards our recovery journey, quite resilient on the tools, quite flexible in our thinking. With OCD and just life in general, I use it in life, but this is what I've learned for OCD. All right, so it's constantly keeping me on my toes with the tools learned, especially on the reading list. Amazing free content on here, and also the one-to-one sessions and the webinars. There is great tools to be learned that you can. There's no fear. There's no theme that's treatment resistant. Okay, it's another thing I felt for so long. When we were POCD, I felt I was completely treatment resistant. I'm OCD. Felt completely real event, false memory. Well, this isn't a fault. This is an event in the past. This is real. I can't recover. I can't get better. I felt like that for absolute years. All right, there is so much hope. You can get better. All right, morphing is all part of the journey. If it morphs, don't beat yourself up. Don't go and scream the place down and complain and moan. Yes, it's frustrating. Yes, it's fucking annoying. We know that. I know that. I fully appreciate that. But moaning and complaining and whining is a zero return investment. Apply the same tools and bring it for the ride, and it's all about lowering that fear response down. Remember, when it morphs, we are scared of something. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please leave a like, that would be much appreciated. Any comments, I happily read. If you would like me to elaborate on any points I've said, I happily will. Any suggestions for future videos, I'd happily do. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do so. Anyway, take care, and I'll see you again. Bye-bye.